I know in the last few videos, I know it's been a while, I showed you how to bloom some of the Fizz Fairy colorants. But I've actually developed another way. I know lots of other people do it this way. I just don't have, honestly, the room or the time to bloom everything now. So I found another way that's kind of, it is considered blooming, but it is usable right away. So I'm going to show you how I do it. So in this bowl here is my baking soda, kettle and clay, SLSA, cream of tartar, grapeseed oil, fragrance oil, kind of everything else other than my colorant and my binder. And no citric acid yet. That is like the very final stage that you want to add into your mix. So let me show you how I do it. So I take just a small little cup, and today I'm going to be doing Aquamarine from Fizz Fairy. So for my recipe, I use 1/8 of a teaspoon. I'm not sure how many that is in the micro ones, but I use 1/8, and I just put it into my little cup. And then in my spray bottle, I have distilled water, so I simply spray in my distilled water and stir. So this is essentially, you're putting your dye into water already, and that is blooming it. So you want to stir it to make sure that everything dissolves into the water as best you can. On the edges there, you can see it's not a lot of water. I only use a little bit, but I add more as I go, if that makes sense. So I'll pour this amount in and then kind of spray into the container and get what's left over into it. So I use a mixer. I swear by my mixer. Now it's going to be loud and probably a bit shaky. Sorry about that, but this is how I do it. So just lock this in here. So I always mix everything up a little bit first before I add the water. So it's probably going to get a little bit shaky and loud now, but we'll give it a little mix. Okay, so from here, I'm going to keep mixing it, and then I'm just going to add in the dye and distilled water that I have mixed together. So as you can see, there's still a lot of dye left, and I don't like to waste any. So you can see there's lots of dye left in the bottom, and I don't like to waste any. So this is when I switch over to my witch hazel, and I spray this out and mix it with my witch hazel, and I find that that dissolves the dye almost just as well as the water does. Get those bits right on the inside corners. So you can see as I'm adding, there's still a lot of color. You don't want any of that to go to waste. And that's pretty much all of it is out of there. So from here, I'm going to add in my rubbing alcohol. So I use a bit of rubbing alcohol. The color will really pop, and then I keep letting it mix. just going to give the sides a little scrape. Make sure everything's off the edges. And my camera fell right over. Mix it up a little bit more. So as you can see, it's a beautiful bright blue now. So in this final stage here, I'm going to add in my citric and then a little bit more of the witch hazel and rubbing alcohol. Scrape the sides again. Get all the wet mixed in there. So I'm going to check. Holds nice and firm. All the citric acid is mixed in. Fell again. Not a very good tripod apparently. Okay, so I'll scrape out my bowl. Make sure everything's in there. And you guys can mold with me. So I wait, like I said, until the very end to do the citric acid, and there's a couple of colors that's pretty crazy to watch, that when you add the citric acid, it becomes a completely different color. So I found this even when I did the other type of blooming. So the other blooming, for those of you that don't know, is you're just going to add water and baking soda and mix it all together and then let it dry. And then you just treat it like regular baking soda, but it's colored. So even when I do that, I find sometimes when I add my citric acid, there is a complete color change in them. So one of the ones that I found this the most with is, oh shoot, what's the color now? It's a purple. It's not plum. It is, what do I have? Grape. So grape does this. I did one in grape yesterday. So it was a beautiful purple when I did my first steps before I added the citric. Gorgeous, dark, deep purple. And then when I added the citric, if you want to see it, actually, I put it on my stories on Instagram. It's d.e.Luxe Bath Shop on Instagram if you want to see. And it shows the color change. And it became a very beautiful, beautiful blue, but definitely not purple. So I left them to dry. And when I came back the next day, they were purple again. I have had it that it hasn't gone purple again, but for the most part, they go back to the original color that it's supposed to be. I actually did Real Deal Red today. So I did doubled the amount that I normally put in for Real Deal Red to my other color. So I did 2 scoops, 2 1/18 teaspoons into my Real Deal Red. And it was actually quite pink still, but I liked the pink, so I left it. I didn't want to add too much. So I left it. And then when I added the citric, it actually became more red than pink. So I don't know. I don't know what color it's gonna dry to. I'll show you. They're the ones that I have right over there. I can show you what they ended up looking like. So it's hard to say what the end result will be, if they'll be more of a red or of a pink. But this was the Real Deal Red. And it definitely is a reddy pink, but The color can change a lot in, you know, I usually let mine dry to 24 to 48 hours before I package them up. So yeah, I wait 24 to 48 hours. It's usually about in and around 24 hours before. So all of mine, I found that putting them in these, they dry a lot better. So I put them in those to dry. It keeps the shape really nicely, and I just find that they dry more evenly. So that's usually about, depends on when I make them during the day, but it's the first thing I'll do in the morning is I'll go in and I'll take all of my bath bombs out of their molds. And so I'll take them out of their molds, wipe all of my molds down, get them cleaned up and ready for the next set for today. So it could be 12 hours, it could be 20 hours. It just depends on how long I worked for the night before, but I always make sure that they're nice and solid before I take them out. And then I leave them usually again for another 24 hours at least. But after that first set, they're pretty solid. They don't change shape or anything. But I found if I wasn't putting in these that they were becoming misshapen. And it was driving me nuts. So I got the containers. Yeah, so this is how I make bath bombs now. I haven't, the only one that I don't do this with is Jet Black from Fizz Fairy. That one I still tend to bloom when I use it. I don't use it a lot, so it's not as bad. But the granules in that one are so large. I don't know if this, oh, that's not true. I have done it. I have done it this way with them before, and it wasn't bad. It was not jet black, but it was a very dark gray black, which was the look that I was going for anyway, so that worked for me. And I think that's about it. If you guys have any other questions, please let me know in the comments down below. Also love to hear what else you would like to see from me. If you have any other questions or videos that you want to see for what else I do, or if there's specific colors that you want me to do to show you what they look like when you bloom them this way. Because some of them, like I said, are very different, and I could show you the color changing when you add the citric if you want. So just let me know in the comment section down below. So that's it. I'm almost done this batch, and then I've got a whole lot more to do. So thanks for watching and listening to me babble. And if you like it, feel free to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Wow, my voice just got really cracky. Give me a thumbs up, and like I said, please let me know down below what you would like to see from me. Let me get this one molded, and I'll show you the, like I said, this one is Aquamarine from fizzfairy.ca, and it is absolutely beautiful. And it's really bad lighting in here, so maybe it's better if I hold it back here. So this is the Aquamarine from Fizz Fairy, and my way in blooming but not blooming. So that's it. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys soon.